Hi everyone, I'm Tim Nelson. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from the Vatican. Pope Francis met this past week with those suffering from Huntington's disease and their families. About 1,700 people gathered in Paul VI Audience Hall for the intimate meeting with the Pope. Rome Reports has more from the Vatican.
Pope Francis literally embraced all of these sick people who filled the Paul VI Audience Hall in Vatican City. They have Huntington syndrome, a degenerative disease that usually begins to show its symptoms between 30 and 50 years of age. Those who suffer from it are often marginalized or even abandoned by their relatives who are unable to take care of them. Pope Francis greeted both the sick and their relatives, who sacrificed 24 hours a day to take care of them. Some asked him to bless photos of other loved ones, while others tearfully embraced him, unleashing the applause of the people. There were selfies, blessings, and greetings of all kinds. This was the message that Pope Francis gave: sweetness, closeness, more than words but gestures. He encouraged the sick and their families not to be discouraged and to never become overcome by loneliness and suffering.
La fragilità non è un male. Nessuno di voi si senta mai solo. Nessuno si senta un peso. Non cedere alla tentazione del senso di vergogna e di colpa.
He also called for more research in order to find solutions to diseases like this and criticized the destruction of human embryos.
Ma sappiamo che nessuna finalità, anche in sé stessa nobile, come la previsione di una utilità per la scienza, per altri esseri umani o per la società, può giustificare la distruzione di embrioni umani.
At the moment, 7,000 rare diseases have been discovered, which affects 7% of the world's population.
Huntington's disease results in the death of brain cells and causes problems with a person's mental abilities, body coordination, and movement. Since the disease's discovery in 1872, the uncontrollable movements that characterize the disease have led to the marginalization of those afflicted. The meeting was sponsored by Hidden No More, a coalition of neuroscientists, research experts, and institutes with the goal of ending the stigma and shame around the disease. In news now from around the country, the Archdiocese of St. Louis is sponsoring a pilgrimage of trust taking place the weekend of May 26th through the 29th. St. Louis Archbishop Robert Carlson reached out to the brothers from the Taizé ecumenical community in France to put on this event as a way to move the city toward healing. Although it's been 3 years since riots broke out in Ferguson, Missouri, after the fatal shooting of an unarmed black teenager by a white police officer, many of the wounds from those events still linger in the community. Some of the brothers from Taizé have been in St. Louis for several months preparing for the pilgrimage, which will include days of prayer, workshops, and a walk through the city on May 28th. This walk of trust will make stops at different spots along the way to hear speakers and will take participants along Del Mar Boulevard, a route that spans the city from east to west and is symbolic of the city's divisions. The walk will end with a gathering on the campus of St. Louis University. The Pilgrimage of Trust is open to all ages, and organizers are hoping more gatherings will take place after the brothers return home. If you'd like more information on this, you can go to pilgrimageoftruststl.com. And news from around the world, the winning design for the logo for World Youth Day 2019 has been selected. The logo depicts symbols of Mary, Panama, and the Panama Canal. Rome Reports has more on the logo, which will appear on all World Youth Day materials, handouts, social media, and websites.
Sarà nel 2019 a Panama.
Panama's World Youth Day logo has just been released. The event, which takes place from January 22nd to 27th, 2019, held a competition in which 103 entries were submitted. It was this design by 22-year-old architecture student Ambar Calvo who wanted it to portray the tenderness and surrender of Mary. The logo has a lot of significance. The Panama Canal, which serves as a symbol of the pilgrims being guided by Mary to Jesus. It also represents the Isthmus of Panama, the Pilgrim Cross, and Mary's silhouette. The dots visible above her embody her crown and the pilgrims coming from the different continents. With some of Panama's youth representatives in Rome just this April to receive the World Youth Day Cross, the country's preparations are already in full swing.
And finally in the news, Cardinal Agostino Vallini, the papal vicar of Rome, has announced in a letter that Pope Francis will celebrate the feast of the body and blood of Christ and the Corpus Christi procession on a Sunday, June 18th, instead of the traditional Thursday feast day, which occurs on June 15th this year. The Cardinal said he hoped changing the celebration day to a non-work day would allow more people to participate in the traditional procession through Rome from the Basilica of St. John Lateran to the Basilica of St. Mary Major. Years ago, throughout Italy and other countries, including the United States, the feast day was moved to the following Sunday. The date of the papal celebration was announced on May 18th by the Vatican, along with other public liturgical celebrations for June, including Pentecost Sunday Mass, June 4th in St. Peter's Square, and the Feast of Saints Peter and Paul, and the Blessing of Palliums on June 29th in St. Peter's Basilica. Well, that is all the information we have for you at this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV Network.